Welcome to a special press conference involving your new USUA president, Drew Lemish, KRUA, your University College radio station, as well as the Northern Light. Drew, can you explain why you're here?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the reason I am now the USUA president is former President Andrew Lessig has a lot going on right now in his professional life, his student life, and his personal life, and he decided that he doesn't have the time to do USUA right now due to other problems. And it wasn't only a right step for him, but he saw it as a right step for the organization to go further. And so he decided to resign.
What qualifies you as USUA president?
Yeah. So this is my third year at UA. In the past 2 years, I've been in other leadership roles on campus. Last year, I was the president of RHA, which is the second largest student organization on campus. And it's an organization that is a part of USUA, but they don't necessarily go to all the USUA meetings. And being the president of the second largest student organization, I thought it would be a good step to be the vice president of the largest student organization on campus. And it's a little bit bigger than RHA, but I think I can do what it takes, and I have the energy and the passion to make sure that USUA succeeds.
What initially caught your eye of the USUA vice president position?
Well, I was approached by Andrew to run with him, and I looked into the position and exactly what it entails. And I'm very student focused, whereas Andrew is very government focused, and it was a good balance. So I'm still very student focused, but I went to the coalition and got some experience with the government stuff that we deal with as well. So the student, just making sure students have a good time on campus and making sure students have avenues to do what they need to do and make their college experience the best it can be, and helping them do that is why I decided to get involved with USUA.
To help a couple of the viewers out, what was your initial platform with Andrew when you guys decided to run against Max Bullock and Johnny Templeton?
Yeah. So there was equality for all, fair education, and a promise to not impose any more student fees that we could help with on our students. We wanted to increase campus safety, hiring more UPD officers because they are understaffed. And that was our biggest thing on our platform, I think. And then in the last meeting before we got sworn in, we were going to do a Constitution convention over the summer. But because of the leadership in USUA over the summer, that did not happen.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
The Constitution Convention?
Well, the leadership during USUA, because I know the meetings were a little bit sporadic this summer.
Yeah, so the first meeting we set up, we didn't get it out 72 hours in advance, so it wasn't an official meeting. And everything we got done at that meeting didn't matter. We didn't elect a speaker. An ombudsman was appointed, but they couldn't be the ombudsman because it wasn't an official meeting. And every other meeting we were going to have after that, it just never went out on the listserv that we were having a meeting until mid-August. The 2 meetings before the school year started, those did go out on the listserv, but neither of them had enough representation to meet quorum. So we had no official meetings over the summer.
So USUA is in sort of a lackluster spot right now. You barely have any student representatives, like you just mentioned, barely have an ombudsman, barely have the speaker appointed and everything. What are you going to do to turn that around? Yeah,
so I've already started, hopefully, turning this around. At Campus Kickoff, I handed out 30 petition packets. Myself and Connor Kirsching, the Greek Council rep, were the only two at the USUA table, which is really sad to see because we really should have more student representation than that at the student government table. But so Connor and I handed out 30 packets. I've been in the student union every day this week, handing out what our swag. We have mints and first aid kits and ice scrapers. And when I hand them out, I say that they're from student government and ask people if they want to get involved. And I've handed out about 15 petition packets in the student union this week. I've already got one turned back in, and I told most people that are interested to come to the meeting tomorrow. And so hopefully there will be more people at the meeting tomorrow with petition packets that are filled out. And then after that, senators that are at the meeting tomorrow, I'm just gonna hopefully push them and help help them help me and get more students involved in USUAA.
What is your current platform as USUAA president?
My current platform is to get USUAA back up and running. The last few years it's been on a steady decline, but it's not a problem, I don't think. I think it's something, I did it with RHA, and I think I can do it with USUAA too, like revive an organization. So before I do anything that's on my platform, I need to make USUAA more of a organization that does stuff on campus. But then past that, when I find a VP, I think we'll create a platform together. But right now, one of the big things on my platform, and one of the things I talked to the Board of Regents about, was adding gender identity to our non-discrimination policy. It is in USUA's non-discrimination policy, but it's not on our campus and it's not in statewide. In 2010, we added sexual orientation to our non-discrimination policy, but it's 2013 now, and I think it's time to add sexual identity. And I talked to the Board of Regents about it already, and so that's one big thing I'll be working on this year.
So how are you going to use the student representatives to make sure that that goal is accomplished?
Writing letters to President Gamble. I've talked to President Gamble about it. I talked to him about it at his house at a reception we had afterwards. Asked him what I needed to do to make sure that worked. And he said to make sure it's not just me that wants it. I'm sure there's other students on our campus that would appreciate this, and other students within USUAA that would appreciate this. So writing letters, and just knowing that they can get involved with the Board of Regents, and when the Board of Regents comes to UAA, making sure we have student representation there.
So Drew, you're looking for a vice president to help fill your former position. What are you looking for?
Yeah, so I'm just looking for somebody with a passion and a drive to make UAA a better place. Some leadership experience, but whether or not that's USUAA, it doesn't matter. I had little leadership experience in USUAA. The most I've done is I was the RHA rep my freshman year, and I went to the meetings once a week. That was the only time I went to USUAA meetings. And then on media board, I went a few times to give a report. So not necessarily somebody within USUAA, somebody that will work well with me, somebody that has common goals and interests, but different at the same time, so we can both do our own things and both get separate things done, but make sure they both improve student life on our campus.
All right. So the Student Coalition of Leaders is University of Alaska, the system's upper tier of student government. Can you describe your relationship with them right now?
Yeah, so my first experience with the Coalition of Student Leaders was 2 weeks ago. I went to Fairbanks for 2 days. And the first day wasn't a meeting at all. It was just people from the system, statewide system, coming in, explaining to us what they do. Like Stay on Track came in, and Vice President Dana Thomas came in and talked to us about tuition increases and different things, and the dean of the School of Management at UAF came in and talked to us about possible differential tuition for the School of Management and other things. On Saturday, we did have like an official meeting, and I would say that the relationship that UAA has with them is positive right now. And looking up, UAF and UAA are the two largest schools in the UAA system, and we have a good relationship. And UAS is also, they're not with they don't necessarily go along with everything that UAA and UAF say, but they do get along with us. The smaller schools in our system, it's hard because they have just as much say at the coalition as the larger schools in our system. And so the smaller schools, they'll get more than one person. So like I don't want to name names. Like if UAA is A school and then a smaller school like a community college is B and another smaller school is C, B and C would gang up on A. B and C would have the same idea just to go against A's idea because A is a larger school. But I'm definitely trying to work on that and let them know that we're not there to, UA doesn't need all the money, or we do need all the money we can get. But I understand that their smaller school also needs stuff, new stuff, and to continue moving forward. So mending relationships is what I'm trying to do right now with our coalition.
Are there any questions from the gallery?
Yeah, I had a question regarding, you mentioned that you would be able to kind of revitalize USUAA and participation in it because you had been successful with RHA. Could you explain a little bit about how you're successful with that?
Yeah. So my freshman year, 2011, 2012, I was in RHA as the USUAA rep, and then later the National Communications Coordinator. And in this year, RHA went from having between 15 and 20 members at a meeting to only having executive board at the meeting and the RAs that had to be there. So there'd be between 4 and 8 people at a meeting. And when I started, I ran as president the spring of my freshman year, so I could do it the fall of 2012, 2013, be the president. And when I went to the first meeting, second week of school, we had like 4 people come to the meeting. So I recruited people to do door knocking for me, and we handed out toilet paper because in the residential campus, that's one thing students always forget to buy, with our logo and a little bit information about us wrapped around it. And by the second meeting, we had 30 people, and it was consistent throughout the year because the students saw that you could receive more money. I had a meeting with Bob McDonald, who was the director of housing at the time, to increase our funding because we were doing larger programs, and we wanted to make more students involved, and we thought that we should receive more money from housing because we were the organization doing the most programming on campus. We received that funding, and we used almost all of it and had really successful programs that brought in over 100 people, which is a big program on our residential campus. So just getting students out there that know what the organization is about, and students that aren't afraid to talk to other people, helped me make the organization move forward.
Cool. That question was brought to you by Nithya Thuru, KRUA's News, Sports, and Public Affairs Director. Drew, my big question is how are you going to get students informed about USUAA? There is this looming aura that they don't know what you do, and 2, they don't think you really support them at times when it comes to tuition hikes and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So there's a lot of avenues that you can go about connecting with students on our campus, and a lot that I still need to learn about. But tabling not only in front of the USUAA office, that's every time I walked past the USUAA office, there were senators outside the USUAA office, but if you walked to the RH, there was never a student in the RH talking about USUAA. There was never a student in the arts building talking about USUAA. There was never a student on residential campus talking about USUAA. So just getting out and being all around campus and not just in the student union. And then one of the things I talked with my advisor about was having a PSA on KRUA and letting students know what USUAA is about, and just finding different avenues to connect with students.
Cool. Okay. Are there any more questions from the gallery?
You had talked about, as a priority for this next semester, adding sexual identity to the guidelines of campus. How do you plan on sort of gathering support for that? Obviously, it's an important thing, and as students, we kind of want to see that come to fruition because equality is important. How do you plan on executing that directive?
Yeah, so I could start petitions saying that I could show at the Board of Regents meeting, and that I can send to President Gamble. Students' letters of support are a great way to do that as well. And it's already added into the USUAA Constitution and bylaws. So just it had to be voted in there by our students. So that shows support already from our students because they put it into our Constitution. So our students think that it should be in our statewide. And that affects the employees of statewide. So our faculty and staff here would be protected under the same guidelines that our students are protected under.
That question was brought to you by Tim Brown, the head photographer at the Northern Light, your school newspaper. How can students hold you accountable, Drew?
They can come and talk to me. They can, when they see that I'm slacking or not being held, like not doing what I said I'm going to do today and tomorrow or the next day, I want you guys to come and talk to me. If I'm in my office, my door is open, and I want you guys to stop by. And then, you know, there's my advisors. They're great, and they love talking to students as well. So if you can't find me and you need to talk to my advisor because I'm not doing something, or if there's a problem you have with me, you know, talk to my advisor. When I find a vice president, you can talk to them. I want you guys to hold me accountable. So just make sure that I'm there, and when you see me not doing what I'm supposed to, or when you see me doing something that's against the USUAA Constitution or bylaws, let me know, and I'll try to fix it and work with you. I want to be your friend, not your enemy by any means.
So USUAA, as president, you have a slew of appointments you have to make. How are you going about that right now?
I'm contacting students that have been on previous boards, and then some people can't be a senator because their schedule doesn't work with it. Either they have class or they have work, but students need to know that there's so many more opportunities out there than just being a senator. So when students come and talk to me, I let them know that there's more than just being a senator, and that these boards are a great place to start. It's where, like my first USUAA role last year was on media board. Like I won on a write-in election. I didn't even mean to get in on, but it was great, and I had a great time last semester serving on media board and getting to know exactly what KRUA and the Northern Light do and how they're ran. But the way I plan on making these appointments is just talking to people. When I go out and advertise USUAA and ask people if they want to get involved, and they say yes, I let them know that there's appointments that I have to make, as well as, you know, they can run for any position on campus. The elections are coming up in November, so I'm encouraging students to run for those positions. But then also, I tell them, like, you know, you don't have to run. You can. There's a website, and I pointed about 6 students in last week to the website with all the different appointments that there are. There's Anita Bradbury, our administrative assistant, made a really great spreadsheet so you can see exactly what these committees do, or these boards do, what time they meet, when they meet, how many students are on them, how many faculty are on them, and how many staff members are on them, and who you're meeting with. And then there's a form to fill out with 3 different options. And then I'll go over your form, I'll review it with probably my advisor right now, and then when the VP gets in, they'll help me out as well. And then I'll see which one I think you'll fit best on and talk to you about it and make sure that that's what you want to do, and appoint you to the appropriate board.
So UAA is in a unique situation in regards to student fees. There seems like there's some fee increasing every other year. How are you going to go about educating students? And 2, supporting students that don't want the fee to increase. And a prime example of that would be the transportation fee increased a little bit in order to support the parking garage that's located near the new science building, the ConocoPhillips Science Building.
I think the biggest thing is just education. You know, universities are a business, and they have to make money. Parking services is one. It's a really unique situation on campus, because they only receive funding from, like, parking passes, the fee that you guys pay, and tickets. They don't receive any bigger funding than that. So they survive. Like, they pay their staff with the fee. They built parking garages with these fees. Like the engineering building, they got money from, you know, the legislation to build this engineering building. The parking services got no money from the state to do this, so they have to have you know, money to do that. And where are they going to get it from? Well, they're going to get it from the students and it's not a huge increase in these transportation fees, but when we have an increase in one fee, I would like to look at other ways where we can decrease other fees, and not all the time that we won't be able to do that all the time, but I think there's certainly times when we will be able to do that. but just making students, letting them know where this money goes. Like when you look at your UAA online and you see that you have a $3 green fee, well, what is the green fee doing? They are doing great right now, and I could get you a brochure that says exactly what they're doing. Getting one of those brochures for every fee that you guys see show up on your statement at the beginning of the semester would be great, and that's something I can work on. If you want to see exactly what the transportation fee is being used for, the green fee, the media fee is being used for, I want to be able to hand you something or point you to the direction online where you can see exactly what this money is being used for.
We're going to get ready to wrap up here with a couple more questions. I believe we have a question from Corey Hester, who's with the Northern Light.
Yes. How many positions are on the USUAA board, and how many of those positions are currently vacant?
So there's 23 spots on our assembly, 23 senator spots. And right now, 14 of them are vacant. So we're looking for 14 senators right now.
Another question from Tim Brown from the Northern Light.
You're absolutely right in saying that the university is a for-profit business, and as such, it's in their best interest to increase fees and increase the profitability of the campus. Can you say that you are committed to being an arbiter to the requests for increased tuition and fees from the business aspect of the university? Can you say that you're committed to the student body, who I'm pretty sure everybody can agree that they don't like those things? Can you say that you're committed to the students and not the business aspect of running a university that's for profit?
Yeah, I can tell you that I'm committed to making sure students have the best and most enjoyable time while they're here at UAA. But I will also say that I understand that this is a business, and that for students to have the best time, or for students to be able to come here, there's times when things are needed. I am committed to keeping fees low and not increasing fees or adding new fees every year. And tuition is something beyond, the coalition meets about that. And while the coalition, I will argue with the other people until I'm blue in the face, saying I don't think a tuition increase is right at this time. So no, I'm not gonna. I don't think fees need to go up, and I will sit. I'm more for the students than for the business side of a university any day.
Are there any more questions from the gallery? Drew, my last question for you is, what do you want your legacy to be?
That's a great question. That's a hard question. I would like the students here to just know that USUAA wasn't, big why they were here the last 2 years or 3 years. But when I'm here, I want them to know what USUAA is, and have all of our seats filled. And when we're having homecoming or masquerade, for students to know that USUAA is doing this and that their student fees are paying for this, and that students can get involved, and that students have a great time while they're at the university, and know that this is more than just a academic learning institution, but a place where you can learn life lessons and change your life, get your life changed. And then another thing is the USUAA president that added sexual identity to the Board of Regents non-discrimination policy.
Well, Drew, I just want to thank you for taking time out today to meet with us. This is your new student body president here at UAA. For more information about USUAA, you can find them online at the main ua.alaska.edu website, as well as on Facebook. And be sure to listen to your local college radio station, KRUA 88.1 FM, for all the new updates on campus, as well as crack open that newspaper, the Northern Light, your school newspaper. Thank you for taking time out.